Watching the world burn, watching the world burn, December 7th, 2023. Let's get into it. I guess the biggest news of the day, and I wouldn't even, you know what, let's start with some life advice. So I've got two trees that got to come out next to the house, and it's in 8 tons of rock. So I spent all day. Well, I'm a crippled old man, and I can only get out there and shovel rock for about 3 or 4 hours a day, and I've been at it for a couple of weeks, but they're coming to take the trees out tomorrow, and then I went out to Home Depot and I bought a whole new barrier because it doesn't make sense to move all this rock and not put down a new barrier underneath the rock, and a barrier prevents the weeds from growing if you have rock. Just anyway, so get that out of the way. So let's get on to the geopolitics. So my first note is everything falls on Russia to deal with the Western funded terrorists around the world. And we've got Hamas, ISIS in Syria, and the Taliban in Afghanistan. And yes, the United States and the Western world funded all of those terrorist organizations. In fact, Israel created Hamas, if you didn't know that. So we'll get into, because the theme of this video is Putin. Putin. Everybody says, yo, you're a Putin lover. God dang. I mean, I'm watching videos about him. I mean, he is worshipped around the world. I mean, you know, I don't think that I recall any other leader getting these types of, this type of acclaim. Let's watch Putin, this is a couple of videos from when he got to the UAE. And I didn't know, they're in huge economic ties right now. There's $1 billion projects going on between Russia and the UAE. Don't tell me that Russia's not making friends all around the world. Let's watch a couple of those videos right now. So that was Putin in the UAE. And so don't tell me that he's not well respected. I mean, and then I wanted to point out a couple of things. Did you see how Putin came down the steps? And he didn't even, you know, the reason I broke my neck is there was no railing to grab onto. He had a railing to grab onto, and he never even grabbed onto the railing. And I guess I identify with that because breaking my neck was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and because I didn't have a railing, and it's just, I was watching going, man, Putin, you should at least have a hand hovering above that railing as you're coming down the stairs, you know? I mean, just in case. That's just my opinion. But, and you, well, let's get into the UAE Russian investments real quick.
We have a fraternal relationship with the UAE first and foremost. We are doing very well from an economic and political point of view. Today's visit of the Russian president to the UAE will give further impetus and strengthen our fraternal relations even more. The Arab world today, not all of it, but 50% of the Arab countries support our country, so we need to continue relations with them. In regard to economic issues, we opened a foundation in Abu Dhabi, built a university and a 5-star hotel. We are slowly investing in small and medium-sized businesses, and we will continue this work.
Well, many other top Russian officials have also been in attendance to promote a cooperation in their own sectors. The CEO of the Russian Direct Investment Fund spoke about how Russia and the UAE finance projects that are vital for each other's nations.
A very important trip at a very important time for our BRICS Plus partners, our OPEC partners, and our partners in the South who interact well with Russia. The investment agenda is also extremely important here because mutual investments unite our countries, and the Russia Direct Investment Fund has focused from the very beginning on attracting investors and is focused on building deep relations with them. And this allowed us and the UAE to jointly make 60 very significant, important investments in various sectors of the Russian economy. Of these, more than 20 investments are investments from scratch. That is, we actually built companies in Russia from scratch with the UAE, and as a result of this work, over 500,000 jobs were created, such as large-scale work on the infrastructure projects like our Central Ring Road and the M4. For technological projects, we invested together in a data center in Russia. We also worked together on medical projects. Together we have built the largest cancer diagnostic and control center in the Moscow region. Therefore, this investment agenda is extremely important with the UAE and just as important with Saudi Arabia. With Saudi Arabia, we are announcing for the first time that we and our partners plan to increase our investments with Saudi Arabia by another $10.7 billion over the next 2 years.
So there you go. That was that video. And then, of course, this is Putin leaving the UAE as he's shaking hands. And by the way, I mean, in the previous video, you saw the jets flying around. Now, from what I understand, there were 4 Russian military jets that accompanied him to the UAE. And that's because he's been declared an international war criminal. You didn't see anybody there to arrest him in the Arab states, did you? Did you? my God, we're going to get more into that. But let's just keep going through some other things. So right now, I think Israel is collapsing. I just don't see how economically they're going to make this war work, other than with the United States' help, but we're collapsing. You know, we can't afford to send all this printed money. The 30-year bonds didn't sell. The 10-year treasuries didn't sell. I mean, all this debt is going to crush the United States. And then what are you going to do? What are you going to send to Israel? Paper? Are we going to go to Fort Knox and send them gold? Because that's the only thing that might help them. Other than weapons, and you know, we're running out of weapons. We've given them all to Ukraine. And now we got Venezuela. What's going on down in Venezuela? Looks like they're going to attack Guyana. I didn't even get that on the video today. I mean, I was like, holy shit. So you got, it seems like, well, the whole world is blowing up because they know that the Biden administration and the Democrats are weak. There's nothing the United States can do about, you know, what are we going to fight? 8, 10 different wars around the world? I don't think so. So, yeah, in the genocide in Gaza, and I call it a genocide. Everybody says, oh, well, okay, let's just say the extermination of Gaza. Does that make you feel better? You right-wing lunatics, or even you Democrats, you warmongering Democrats, does that make you feel better? We'll just call it the extermination of Gaza. Let's watch a quick video on that. Well, there you go. Imagine living in those apartment buildings and that's what your home looks like now. I can't imagine. You know, people out on the streets, horrible, horrible. What Israel's doing to Gaza. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand it. And then I hear Mark Levin or some of the radio commentators talking about the fact that, you know, that they think it's wrong that some people in the United States are protesting. And they're not protesting for Hamas. That's what they keep saying. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Yes, they're protesting for the people of Palestine that are being exterminated. All right, so let's just keep going. So I see no peaceful resolution to Israel other than the elimination of Israel. And somebody suggested, and I thought, you know what? I mean, Russia is a vast territory, and I do think well, at one point they had a good relationship with the Israelis. I'm not talking about the Zionists, I'm talking about the Jews, okay? There's a difference. A lot of people don't understand the difference between a Zionist, which is a lunatic who's bent on, you know, from the mountains to the sea, or whatever that damn saying is, that's a Zionist. A Jew just wants to live in peace. And they said maybe they could relocate to Russia, and I bet Russia would take them. Because there's a lot of Jews in Russia, whether you knew it or not. Now, they weren't welcome there under the Soviet Union, but they are under the current Russia. So there's no incentive for Russians forever to stop. Well, yeah, this was a note on the Ukraine war that there's no way the Russians are going to stop until they get to the Napa River. So let's see. We got another couple of videos. We got the UAE out of the way. We got Gaza out of the way. Yeah, and by the way, just some numbers for you. I think it's 15,000 bombs and 57,000 artillery shells have been launched into Gaza, killing civilians and kids and women by the thousands. Well, I guess that's pretty much it for the video. We always want to finish up with some good Russian hardware. I did get another death video, which I'll show you the beginning of, but I can't show you the end. Because it showed a bunch of Ukrainian soldiers that were laying on the ground. One of them had his head clean blown off. It was whew, boy, I'm gonna have nightmares about that tonight. And like I said, I just put these videos on the side because I can't show them to you on YouTube. And I don't want to show them to you at all. But I think at some point I'm going to put together a documentary that shows what war is really like. So that's it for this video. Peace out. Stay free.
Цель 1347. 1347. Прицел 583. 583.
You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God's gonna cut you down. Sooner or later, God's gonna cut you down. Go tell that globalist liar, that Democrat idiot writer, that rhino rambler, that nuclear war gambler, that backbiting U.S. politician. Sooner or later, God's gonna cut you down. Sooner or later, God's gonna cut you down.